All of the features, all of the safety mentioned in this, and this is from Beyond Undisclosed. You also find them over on BitChute and TikTok.
Thank you for joining the Beyond Undisclosed channel. Go ahead and subscribe and don't forget to check out HomeNetwork.tv, your free speech platform. You can support this channel by donating, as it is how we can bring you more content and deeper reviews. On February 13, 2023, a Norfolk Southern freight train derailed in East Palestine, Ohio due to an overheated axle bearing, known as a hot box. Hot box detectors are wayside detector systems that can detect and alert operators of overheating bearings before derailment occurs. Hot box detectors are used to identify overheated bearings on a train and prevent derailment. They are positioned along the railroad tracks at specific intervals to ensure that the train is regularly monitored. These detectors use infrared technology to detect hot bearings, which could cause friction and lead to derailment. The distance between hot box detectors varies depending on the location, but they are usually placed around 10 to 20 miles apart. This ensures that the train is continuously monitored for any hot bearings or other issues that could affect its performance. If a hot box detector signals an issue, the train operator is alerted, and appropriate measures are taken to rectify the problem. Train accident and chemical spill. A train carrying hazardous chemicals derailed and caught fire in a residential area, causing a massive explosion and releasing toxic smoke that posed a health hazard to the local population. This incident, which occurred this year, was a result of a combination of factors, including human error, equipment failure, and inadequate safety regulations. While the chemicals involved in the accident were the same as those used in gas attacks during World War I, the incident highlights the potential dangers of transporting hazardous materials, especially in urban areas. The chemicals used in gas attacks during World War I were a type of poison gas that was designed to cause injury or death by damaging the respiratory system. These chemicals included chlorine gas, phosgene gas, and mustard gas. The use of chemical weapons during WWI was a horrific and inhumane tactic that caused immense suffering to soldiers and civilians alike. Vinyl chloride is a colorless gas that is used in the production of polyvinyl chloride, PVC, plastics. It is a known carcinogen and can cause liver and lung damage, as well as neurological effects. Long-term exposure can lead to liver cancer and brain damage. Medical indications include respiratory distress, liver damage, and cancer. Ethylene glycol monobutyl ether is a colorless liquid used as a solvent in many industrial applications, including paint and coatings. Exposure to this chemical can cause irritation to the eyes, nose, and throat. It can also cause skin irritation and damage to the nervous system. Long-term exposure can lead to reproductive and developmental effects. Medical indications include respiratory distress, skin irritation, and neurological damage. Ethyl hexylacrylate is a clear, colorless liquid used in the production of plastics, adhesives, and coatings. It can cause skin and eye irritation, as well as respiratory distress. Long-term exposure can lead to lung damage and skin sensitization. Medical indications include respiratory distress, skin irritation, and lung damage. Isobutylene is a colorless gas used in the production of rubber and gasoline. It can cause irritation to the eyes, nose, and throat, as well as respiratory distress. Long-term exposure can lead to neurological effects and damage to the lungs. Medical indications include respiratory distress and neurological damage. Regarding the preventable train accident due to hotbox detectors along the train tracks, it is worth noting that hotbox detectors are a safety mechanism that can detect overheating bearings in rail cars, which can cause fires and derailments. When a hotbox detector identifies a problem, it sends an alert to the train crew, who can then take action to prevent an accident. In cases where a preventable train accident occurs despite the presence of hotbox detectors, it suggests that there may have been failures in maintenance, inspection, or communication processes. Therefore, it is essential to not only implement safety mechanisms but also to ensure that they are regularly maintained and monitored to prevent accidents. 1. The potential for harmful effects. The chemicals used in chemical warfare are known to cause severe harm to humans, animals, and the environment. Similarly, the chemicals spilled during the train derailment can also pose a threat to health and the environment. 2. Toxicity. Both the chemicals used in chemical warfare and those spilled during the train derailment have the potential to be highly toxic. 3. Chemical properties. Chemical warfare agents and the chemicals spilled during the train derailment are both likely to be reactive and may pose a fire hazard or create an explosion. 4. Risk of contamination. Both chemical warfare agents and the chemicals spilled during the train derailment can lead to contamination of soil, water, and air, which can result in long-term negative effects on the environment and public health. Symptoms of a chemical attack: difficulty breathing or shortness of breath, chest tightness or pain, coughing and wheezing, burning or stinging sensation in the eyes, nose, or throat, skin irritation or burns, nausea or vomiting, dizziness or confusion, loss of consciousness. To protect yourself from a chemical attack: cover your nose and mouth with a mask or cloth. Close windows and doors to limit exposure. Evacuate the area if possible. Follow emergency instructions given by authorities. Remove any contaminated clothing and wash exposed skin with soap and water. Clean-up procedures for toxic chemicals according to the Army include the following steps. Identify the type and amount of chemical involved. Secure the area to prevent further contamination. Wear personal protective equipment, PPE, such as gloves, respirators, and suits. Contain and collect the contaminated material. Decontaminate equipment and personnel. Dispose of the hazardous waste in accordance with regulations and guidelines. Hot box detectors are used to identify overheated bearings on a train and prevent derailment. They are positioned along the railroad tracks at specific intervals to ensure that the train is regularly monitored. These detectors use infrared technology to detect hot bearings, which could cause friction and lead to derailment. The distance between hot box detectors varies depending on the location, but they are usually placed around 10 to 20 miles apart. This ensures that the train is continuously monitored for any hot bearings or other issues that could affect its performance. If a hot box detector signals an issue, the train operator is alerted, and appropriate measures are taken to rectify the problem. The response time to stop a train after a hot box detector signal depends on several factors, such as the speed of the train and the distance from the next available stopping point. However, most trains have emergency brakes that can be applied in a matter of seconds to stop the train quickly. Additionally, train operators are trained to respond to hot box detector alerts and take the necessary actions to prevent derailment. In one day, Union Pacific records approximately 16 million rail car bearing temperatures, 7 million wheel temperatures, 250,000 wheel impact measurements and 100,000 bearing acoustic measurements using more than 5,000 sensors. How is that much data managed? Detectors transfer recorded events in near real time to central servers at Union Pacific's Omaha data center, where the expert analytics system created by Pfeiffer and his team analyzes the millions of readings to generate actionable predictions. The system alerts appropriate personnel when these readings indicate a problem. Wheel profile detectors capture critical information every time a train passes by. Internal analysts determine whether to immediately pass the information to dispatchers, who can stop the train if necessary, inform the mechanical derailment prevention desk for further analysis, or flag the wheel if future intervention may be necessary. Collated data is stored for 7 years. Data summaries, a summarization of hundreds of historical detector reads for a wheel, are just as important as wheel defect readings, Pfeiffer said. Viewing historical trends can help detect an issue before it gets to a critical state that could result in a derailment. The system acts as a bridge between the information we capture and our response based on the analysis, said Union Pacific's Bill Sheasley, manager of mechanical engineering. It has revolutionized the way we operate because it allows us to troubleshoot defects that are either indiscernible or imperceptible by other means. FIFO system plays an essential role matching the wheel measurements with specific rail cars, leading to accurate findings and, best of all, quicker response times. Because all of our analysts have an engineering background, we're easily able to identify data patterns and recognize where each measurement lands on the spectrum of severity, Sheasley said. With safety being Union Pacific's top priority, we always err on the side of caution. As Union Pacific Information Technologies employees are continuously encouraged to keep their wheels in motion, innovative projects involving train diagnostics keep growing. The railroad currently is piloting camera-based image analysis on rail car couplers, mechanisms used to connect railway vehicles, near North Platte, Nebraska. When a defective coupler is detected, it will trigger an alert to the internal system so the proper parties are notified and can promptly respond. Vinyl chloride. Vinyl chloride is on the right to know hazardous substance list. This chemical is on the special health hazard substance list. Vinyl chloride can affect you when inhaled. Vinyl chloride is a carcinogen and mutagen. Handle with extreme caution. Vinyl chloride can cause reproductive damage. Exposure to vinyl chloride can severely irritate and burn the skin and eyes with possible eye damage. Contact with the liquid or gas can cause frostbite. Inhaling vinyl chloride can irritate the nose, throat and lungs. Vinyl chloride can cause headache, nausea, vomiting, dizziness, fatigue, weakness, and confusion. Higher levels can cause lightheadedness and passing out. Prolonged or repeated exposure can damage the liver, nervous system and lungs. Repeated exposure can damage the skin or scleroderma, bones, acroosteolysis and blood vessels in the hands. Raynaud's syndrome. Vinyl chloride is flammable and reactive and a dangerous fire and explosion hazard. Explosive polymerization may occur at elevated temperatures if vinyl chloride is not inhibited. Leaks should be stopped as soon as possible. All sources of ignition must be eliminated. Vinyl chloride vapor can travel to an ignition source and flash back, causing a flash fire. Because of the explosive hazard, fire at a leak must not be extinguished unless the leak is simultaneously closed. In the event of a spillage, liquid should be contained and discharges to streams or sewer system prevented. People performing the cleanup should have full protective equipment and positive pressure breathing apparatus. Evacuate and restrict persons not wearing protective equipment from area of spill or leak until cleanup is complete. Remove all ignition sources. Establish forced ventilation to keep levels below explosive limit. Ventilate area of leak to disperse the gas. Stop the flow of gas if it can be done safely. If source of leak is a cylinder and the leak cannot be stopped in place, remove leaking cylinder to a safe place in the open air, and repair leak or allow cylinder to empty. Keep this chemical out of confined space, such as a sewer, because of the possibility of explosion, unless the sewer is designed to prevent the buildup of explosive concentrations. It may be necessary to contain and dispose of this chemical as a hazardous waste. Fritz Haber, 1868 to 1934, knew about the toxicity of chlorine when he chose it as his agent of warfare in 1915. He had already come up with the Haber-Bosch process, patented in 1910, for the fixation of nitrogen as ammonia, which won him the 1918 Nobel Prize in Chemistry. This made the manufacture of artificial fertilizers possible, and the survival of millions of people today depends on it. British chlorine gas casualties April 1915. Credit, Thomas Keith Aitken / Imperial War Museum. But it also enabled the mass production of nitric acid, source of the explosives that Germany used in World War I. Haber was an intensely patriotic German Jew. He was head of the chemistry section in the Ministry of War, coordinating the production of ammonia needed to fight the war. He was also in charge of chemical warfare, choosing chlorine gas as the agent. Haber supervised the installation of the first chlorine gas cylinders in the trenches on the Western Front, near Ypres. He and the specialist troops waited for the wind to blow from the east towards the Allied trenches and launched the first gas attack on April 22, 1915. As clouds of chlorine drifted towards the Allies, panic set in. It was no good diving into a trench, as the dense chlorine was heavier than air and poured in. Of the 15,000 or more casualties, 5,000 soldiers were killed. Nerve agents. Generally considered the most deadly of the different categories of chemical weapons, nerve agents, in liquid or gas form, can be inhaled or absorbed through the skin. Nerve agents inhibit the body's respiratory and cardiovascular capability by causing severe damage to the central nervous system, and can result in death. The most common nerve agents include sarin, Soman, and VX. Blister agents. Blister agents can come in forms of gas, aerosol, or liquid and cause severe burns and blistering of the skin. They can also cause complications to the respiratory system if inhaled and digestive tract if ingested. Common forms of blister agents include sulfur mustard, nitrogen mustard, lewisite, and phosgenoximine. Choking agents. Choking agents are chemical toxins that directly attack the body's respiratory system when inhaled and cause respiratory failure. Common forms of choking agents include phosgene, chlorine, and chloropicrin. Blood agents. Blood agents interfere with the body's ability to use and transfer oxygen through the bloodstream. Blood agents are generally inhaled and then absorbed into the bloodstream. Common forms of blood agents include hydrogen chloride and cyanogen chloride. Certain common industrial chemicals, such as chlorine, are not prohibited under the 1997 Chemicals Weapons Convention, but if used as a weapon, such use is prohibited by the treaty. Here at Beyond Undisclosed we are dedicated to bring you fresh and inquisitive history and events, many nobody has ever discussed. Help us keep producing for you. Join HomeNetwork.tv or contribute directly with the PayPal link, either way you're helping a great cause. Don't forget to subscribe and we will see you next time on Beyond Undisclosed.
All right, that's Beyond Undisclosed. You can find them over on YouTube, also on HomeNetwork.tv. That's HomeNetwork.tv. Just to let you know, if you're a reporter, a blogger, and you have a report that's well, like that one, we will be happy in order to take reports from HomeNetwork.tv and broadcast them across the network. So stick around. We've got everything that you're looking for here at WBOU 106.9 Chicago, 97.5 Fort Collins, and, well, coming to a town near you. But by the way, we're already there. You can catch us also on HomeNetwork.tv and FreedomNation.tv. Stick around. We've got it all right here for you.
I get up, I get